I picked up this other forklift here. Got it for a couple $100 because, well, the steering's out and all the internal parts are gone. So trying to find a new column is running, from what I'm finding, $1,800, $2,000. Not liking that. I found another forklift that I was going to get for parts, and was going to go get it. And then when I went to get it, they're like, "Oh, hang on, we need a couple days notice to get it pulled out of where it's at." And now they won't respond back to me. So I think what I'm going to try and do is put an orbital valve in it and just make it hydraulic steering. So I want to get it in the shop for that, but before I go buying all those parts, I want to get it running first. It's not seized up. I've already checked that. So for that, I'm going to get it in the shop. I got it because, well, more capacity, so I can actually lift like those backhoe pieces, because the little one won't lift that big chunk, and it gets stuck if you try going over there. So this one's got, you know, nice big duals, more tires in the front, so hopefully I won't get stuck so much. It's actually part of why, well, it's chewed up from dragging this off the trailer because the tires kick sideways, but it was chewed up even before that from trying to run the little forklift over here to take that apart, like the boom and stuff. It just gets stuck everywhere. So first, got to air up this tire, and then we'll get her drug into the shop and start tinkering with it. Fun part. I need to get it far enough out there I can get the other forklift on it. I'm going to take the weight off so it's easier to work on the steering. And then I should be able to just use the other forklift to steer and push it in the shop. Seems that counterweight weighs a bit more than I expected it to. Alright, got this older Clark forklift. So I can actually move like semi-truck axles and stuff, because that one's just not quite big enough. First, well, the steering box, the shaft is there, but all the gears and stuff are gone. And I haven't had any luck finding the gears. So I think I'm going to rig something up. The shaft from the steering actually only controlled a valve on the steering. See if we can see it down here. I'm gonna get the light. There we go. You see the steering cylinder there? Actually goes straight from its mount to the back here. And the rod from the steering wheel is that one that's on the side. And all it actually did is move the valve to port it to steer one way or the other. And I'm guessing some manual steering to move it, so I'm debating on trying to change up the inside of that valve, like maybe mess with the spool and push it to one way and use an orbital valve, or I'm thinking about just getting a big rod and have it pivot up where the steering wheel was and hook it to that rod for steering. We'll see. But before I go into that, especially buying an orbital valve and stuff, I want to make sure I can get it started first. There's no point in doing all that and finding out it won't run. So the other day, I was gonna go get it started. Got the battery over here. Was looking for the battery cables. Found that one. That's nice and melty. Gonna have to redo that. And then found there was no starter. So picked up a starter. Got some new battery cables. Got a coil and a coil mount for it because they were gone. Those are actually spark plug wires for a Toyota, because I couldn't look up by this application, but they're on there. And yeah, gonna get the starter in. It'll be kind of hard for you guys to see. A tight room. I got to put it in from the bottom. Yep, it is that. It turns over. Yep. I just get that out of the way. Gonna need some of that in there. Doesn't have hardly any hydraulic fluid in it. But I got the coil wired up, negative to the points, and I just got a positive for now. I can touch the battery. Same with the starter. I need to get a different ignition switch and fix whatever's going on with the wiring and stuff. But for now, it's just let's get it running. Make sure it runs. So got new spark plugs. I tested spark earlier and made sure the starter worked. And it had spark, but I only checked it on the one plug. And they're pretty old. Actually different. The two front ones are an NGKs and the two back ones are Champions, I believe. And they actually used a different socket size. You want to keep it up on the threads. So we've got 1, 3, so this one. Right. Yep. It's hard to look up a Clark forklift on O'Reilly's website, especially when you don't really know the year. So it's easier to just, oh, let's look up a Toyota 4-cylinder. And then went with the 80s model, so that it would have the proper style ends to go into a cap instead of the bullet style. Which I don't even know if the newer Toyotas have bullet style, but most of the newer stuff does. That still has a distributor or non-plug-on coil. Got that on. All right. This has got enough fluid in it where it won't run dry. It actually runs the steering. Oops. I know when I was cranking it earlier to check for spark and everything, it actually turned the tires, and then every time I crank it, they turn up to the stop. So I'm starting to think maybe they thought it was the steering box, but it actually was the valve and the cylinder that was having the problems. Alright, I'm going to dump this hydraulic fluid in here, just so we don't run the pump dry if it does fire up, because I can see to the bottom of the tank and there's hardly anything in here. I pulled the cap off of this, the fuel tank, and looked down in it, and the fuel tank is completely empty. So hopefully by filling it up, the fuel pump will start pumping. And then I'll run, hopefully. Otherwise I might have to do something with the carburetor. I don't know what they got going on with the fuel. There's a valve over here that has the line from the fuel tank. Then it goes out to a T valve, and then straight through the T valve it loops right back to the fuel tank, and the other one goes to the fuel pump. So it's really stiff. I tried to move it and it didn't want to move, so I figured I'd just leave it where it's at for now, and hopefully that's where it wants to be for it to run. I actually mounted this panel back up. It was just dangling just so it can pull the choke. Alright, it's got oil in it. Pretty sure I checked that before, but thought I'd double check this. Hopefully she's gonna start. So we got our battery connected. Power on. Crank it. Alright, let's try. I'm going to put the intake boot back on. Maybe this way. Okay, we'll go this way. Take some of this 2-stroke oil and dump it down here. Whoop. Oh, that made a mess. Let's see if that helps. Okay, fired a little bit. I'm thinking I'm going to have to take this fuel line on and see if the fuel pump's pumping. I'll try that. Maybe it'll stick a little better. There we go. Trying. I don't think we're getting any fuel out of the tank. Oh, yeah, that's not going to work. So there's some kind of take that out. So let's see. Yep, can't see it from here. So you can see. Let me unplug the plug here. That little guy right there that I thought was a fuel pressure regulator, now that I'm seeing it better, it looks like it was a glass bulb fuel filter, and there's nothing on it. So I'm going to take that out and move the fuel line up, and then hopefully we'll get something going here. There we go. Alright, so we got that out. Took that little fuel valve out and just put a union in there. I'm gonna pressure the tank up again, see if we can get flow or fuel pushed through to the pump. And check for other leaks, because I found a leak last time. And that little hose. There we go. The hose on the side of the filter there was leaking. Oh, no, it's not. We're getting fuel out of the fuel pump. So now we know we have fuel to the fuel pump. I'll put the that fitting back in the fuel pump, and then hopefully we'll get her to run. Alright, so we've got fuel. We'll try giving it a little choke. We've got fuel up to the fuel pump. Now, hopefully it'll pump and it'll start running. Sorry, bumped the starter. Choke. Let me go to the other side and see what the fuel pump looks like. Okay, so it runs, but we're gonna have to pull we're gonna have to pull the carburetor off and clean it out, seems like, because it'll only run with choke on and then not well. And I think while I'm at it, I'll pull those hydraulic lines off the steering and loop them for now. Because, let's see, can you see it? No, you can't see it. Here, we'll put it right there so you can see it's putting a load against the engine when I'm trying to mess with it. So maybe that's causing part of the problem too. Yeah, so I think I'll get those lines rerouted down there, or taken off and just loop them so it's not putting a load on it. Carburetor was all packed down in there, you wouldn't be able to see anything, so, but I got it out. It's filthy. I should probably clean it, but it sounds like a lot of work, so I'm just gonna take it apart. What it looks like on the inside. Ooh, that's packed full of stuff. So that's probably been a problem. That's filthy. See if we can get this jet out. It's actually pretty clean. That actually looks pretty clean. Oh, where's my carb cleaner? Got distracted and do something else, and I forgot to put the camera on when I was cleaning it out. So, I mean, it's still pretty dirty on the outside, but the inside's good. All the jets are clear. All the orifices seem cleaned out, so hopefully this should do the job. But I think the problem actually might have been the fuel pump down there isn't hardly pumping anything. Let's see. So I'm thinking all those old crusty lines and whatever rigmarole they got going on up in there isn't allowing it to actually pull fuel. So I'm going to try and take that weird T out that doesn't make any sense and just pull it straight out the tank and see what happens. And well, you can't really see what's going on down in there, so I'll just bring you back when I get that done. So we got the new fuel filter and fuel line on. That old stuff, when I started pulling on it, just was falling apart. Ended up leaving the valve up there because it seemed pretty good, but there was a fitting up. I can't get the camera in there. That was a little loose coming right out of the tank, and it's actually a flared fitting, and I didn't have anything to adapt from that to get rid of the rest of it. But got that done, and then blew through the tank to prime it, and there we go, pumping fuel. The carburetor's back in. I ended up just getting that rod straightened so the wheels aren't steering anymore. Let's see what we get. Nope, same. It's gotta be choked. best it's ran so far, but apparently that back fitting wasn't tight. It's just been spraying fuel everywhere.
Alright, it's running pretty good now. I think we just had to get her cleared out. Had to hold it wide open, well, about half throttle for a while. Trying to kind of clear it out. Seems to be doing okay.
Probably should check the fluid level. I thought I checked the radiator one before, but maybe I didn't. Alright, still turns over. I don't know that I want to take this cap off now. I think we're gonna let that sit for a little bit. Then we'll take the cap off and I'll check the coolant again. I thought it was pretty full, but maybe not. Still leaking a little bit of fuel down underneath. Can't really tell where that's coming from. But yeah, we're gonna let that cool off before we can get in there. Alright, so we got it running. I just gotta button up the little fuel leak. I double checked the coolant once it cooled off, and took about a gallon, so that was a little low. Done a little tweaking on the carburetor, and that seemed to help some. But at this point, this is just going to do it for this video. And in the next video, we'll have the orbital valve, and be getting all mounted, and the hydraulic hoses and everything reran to hopefully get the steering working. I did test. I didn't get on video, but put a hose in here because it was missing one. Can't really see. There you go. And it does lift it up and it tilts it back and forth, so that's good. Yeah, just keep an eye on the channel for the next video when we put steering in it, hopefully. Or, I don't know, it might be something else before the steering happens in this. But eventually there'll be a video of the steering in this. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.